Hello there. Today I watched the 5th episode of Dead City, Stories We Tell Ourselves, and now I want to tell you about it. Just as a heads up, this video will contain spoilers. This episode was written by Brenna Koof and directed by Ganja Montero. In it, we see the two groups of survivors make their escape after the events at the Croat Stadium, and we see the Croat meet with a new person. This episode can be broken down into 3 sections, so let's do that for the discussion. Part 1 is Negan and Pearlie's escape after the stadium. There's a lot going on here with the tension between these two guys. We learn a little bit about Negan and see that he definitely has grown as a person, to the point where he's openly offering help to someone who intends to harm him. We also learn about Pearlie's past, his brother, and we see him starting to change as well. Negan's story about why he killed the magistrate seemed to stop him in his tracks, and seeing how his brother died has him questioning his morality. It's a great little ball of emotions in here, and both of them are showing a decent bit of heart. Jeffrey Dean Morgan and Gaius Charles play the emotional scenes well, and the chemistry between them is like lightning. Their two personalities colliding leads to some interesting conversations about the world around them. I also really like the visuals on the location they went through. That Doomsday Artist's safe house was filled with twisted images and weird art displays that I found fascinating to look at, and this section really dove into the idea of how people's minds twisted during the end times. The second part of the story was a smaller section, but in it, we saw the Croat meet with a mysterious older woman and interact with the goons that surround her. She and her entourage live inside the King Francis Theater, and her men sit around entertaining each other all day. It's a rundown theater, and her men look like a generic group of bandits, but her office is elegant with operatic music playing in the background and antiques littering the room. When the Croat enters the place, we see him as a normal man for the first time ever. He isn't someone special to these people. Hell, they barely acknowledge his presence. He barely gets a fist bump as he walks past the group. When he walks into a giant woman leaving the leader's office, she disrespects him so openly that she calls him a bitch and shoves him. Croat means nothing here. Then he heads inside to meet with the mysterious leader, only for us to find out he was telling the truth last week, that he doesn't intend to harm Negan, and that they actually want to use him against the New Babylonian people. The woman and the Croat are both scared by the idea of the New Babylonian marshals coming to instill law and order in New York, and they seem desperate to stop them. So desperate that they're working with the unruly characters outside. The woman steps all over him, but recognizes the threat that the marshals present instantly. The scene between these two is disturbing. We've never seen the Croat so low before, and he is practically this woman's slave. She must be incredibly powerful to hold this kind of sway over him. The scene even ends with him worshipping her hand while she pets him. The power dynamic shifted immensely this week, and now I'm left wondering if I have been had by this story. Is this really about taking down an evil man who kidnaps kids and raids others for tribute? The nuanced morality that they're focusing on is fascinating. It even ties into the last part of the story for this week, which was Maggie and the others' escape in the sewers. Tommaso and Amaya fret over the mission that went wrong, but Tommaso tries to keep everyone's spirits up while they head through the dead-infested tunnels. Everywhere they walk, there are corpses lining the ground, and some of them even move around a little bit. It's a creepy-ass tunnel, and we get some great shots of them stealthily moving through this area to tense music. They ask questions about Ginny, and Amaya tries to figure out what went wrong with their mission. This continues until Tommaso pulls 2 oxygen tanks out of his bag and tries to present them as if he found them. We see how quick-witted Maggie is when she puts it all together and confronts Tommaso, but the group doesn't immediately ditch him. They continue on, unsure of how to treat him, and Maggie offers Amaya shelter at New Babylon. When Maggie starts hallucinating from the methane fumes and almost falls over, it's Tommaso that urges them to stop and take a break. He tells Maggie the truth, which is somewhere in the middle between what she thought and the story he initially told. We learn that he's just a scared guy trying to protect his family, and that the Croat told him about New Babylon and how he could live there if he sold out his friends. They're then interrupted by zombies attacking Amaya and Ginny. Tommaso trips into another group when he's trying to save them, but Maggie makes it over to them and kills the zombies. She inspects Ginny and sees that she's okay, but Amaya is dead and her baby was eaten. Tommaso is also dying and tries to say a few last words, but they're choked off by blood. It was a tragic end for these two, and yet it felt raw. They didn't get a happy ending. They got a messy, awful ending. And that's just the world of The Walking Dead. It really isn't Hollywood. Maggie and Ginny continue on, and Maggie tells Ginny the truth. She needs Negan to get her son, and she doesn't intend to tell him that Ginny is there because he'll leave with her right away. Maggie asks her if she understands, and Ginny nods along with it. The two continue escaping when Maggie's leg gets stuck inside a dead body, and she tells Ginny to flee. A mutated, 4-headed zombie appears from the shadows and attacks Maggie head-on. It's a terrifying sequence in which she manages to stab all the heads without getting bitten. The episode ends with a big twist reveal. Maggie finds the words liar written in blood by Ginny, and we see 2 sets of flashbacks. The first reveals that Ginny already saw the grain silos and knew that they were full, so when Maggie lied to her, she knew it right away. The other flashback reveals that Maggie's full memory that's been flashing through her head includes a deal she made with the Croat. She sold out Negan to save her son. Talk about desperate measures. That monster, her outfit, and this entire section were visibly awesome. She looked like Tomb Raider going through a brand new dystopic tomb, and Lauren Cohan plays the emotional aspects really well. She's strong-willed, but still vulnerable at different sections, and she does a great job of reacting to that monstrosity at the end. I really enjoyed the episode and thought it was a strong addition to the Dead City series. We got a lot of zombie interactions in this episode, a bit of death, and some cool new twists, and they continue the best part of The Walking Dead, the nuanced morality. They even threw in a zombie mutant monster for good measure. It was well written, it had good visuals, the acting was great, and the only real problem was with the music. It was good at backing up the scenery at different sections, but was made up of generic background instrumentals and didn't end up being that significant. Aside from that, this episode was incredibly well done. 8 out of 10. And remember, those are just my thoughts on the episode. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Bye-bye.